Summer just got its soundtrack. Josie's EP, Summer Solstice, is out now. It's a 4-track summer manifestation experience designed to help you call in your best season yet. Think energy, intention, glow-ups, and road trip windows down vibes. You can stream Summer Solstice on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, and all major music platforms. And while you're there, you can also find Josie's debut album, Ethereal Pop Alchemist, and her audiobook, Aphrodite's Algorithm. Summer Solstice is out now. Go stream it, sing it, and share it.
Bonjour, new moons. I am Josie the Mustang, the Afro-Latina goddess of witches, and you are aligned with the frequency of the Lua Nova podcast Patreon edition. Patreon members, how are we today? Leave it right there in the comments. How are we feeling today? How's your week going? How are you preparing for Mercury retrograde, Jupiter moving into Leo? What did you do during the strawberry moon? Even if you did nothing, that's okay too. Because you do not take this from somebody who is a practicing witch from a lineage of witches on both sides of my family. You do not have to do all these rituals and spells and pull out giant cauldrons every full moon. You don't have to do it because there will be a full moon every month. So if you just needed to take a break, that's fine. That is fine. Okay. Every full moon is special. All of them. In their own way. And this one is no different. So, starting there. I want to also let it be known that I am going to be recording this episode June the 30th. This is the day of the movie night for Love Island, because I can tell the producers were just kind of over this season themselves. It's pretty obvious. Because I feel like they've done everything to try to save this season, and it's just not working. I know that they've had a loss on their team, and that likely plays a part of it as well. But also, I think that the cast this season, not only is there a ton of insecurity and just a lack of sense, and I'm not going to say lack of common sense, a lack of sense. Nothing that these people are doing is making a lot of sense to us. We can't wrap our head around it. It has nothing to do with it. I don't know. I was about to say it has nothing to do with their age. It has a lot to do with their age. But it's not making sense. It's not making sense, friend. And I don't know. I'm kind of at my wit's end with the season and kind of wanting it to be done already. But it's fun to watch. And so with that being said, with it being fun to watch, although I have been reading tarot for well over 17 years, I want to make something very clear that when it comes to reading tarot, I take it very seriously. It is a serious craft. I am not one of these TikTok readers that just jumps right into hard shuffling their cards and doing the most and backflips and knocking on things. I don't do any of that. There's nothing performative about when I read tarot, and that is something that you can tell from my other readings. But I also don't currently take clients. And since the reason I'm saying all of this, Patreon members, is that the general public will be hearing this part of it. You all already have heard this in the tarot disclaimer, but I just want them to hear it too, okay? And I don't do spiritual work without consent. So it's right there in my show notes where I ask for consent. But I also there's also a tarot disclaimer that runs that asks for consent again. Just letting you know, hey, I'm working with your energy. Your energy is being poured into this. So I don't work with energy without you saying it's okay too. Because you're also using my energy as well. But this is supposed to be fun. Also, those of you who have very creepy parasocial relationships with any of the contestants on this season or previous seasons, this is not the podcast for you. Because I don't tell people what they want to hear at all. That's never going to happen. And I also have my own favorites, but do not base these readings off of my own favorites. Because, for instance, I liked Gabriel. I'm also Brazilian American, so of course. And so seeing Gabriel go home was disheartening, especially when they called him lustful and then turned around and did something extremely lustful about, in the very next scene. Made zero sense to me. But when I said I saw him going home, I'm sorry, Patreon members, I gotta let them know a little bit of what I said. I was right. I'm always right, but I wanted more for him. But when I'm reading tarot, I just got to be honest. I just got to tell you what I'm seeing. And keep in mind that when it comes to tarot, things change all the time. So my reading today may shift, and I'd see something completely different the next time I do a collective tarot reading. And as I mentioned on Patreon, I was not planning to do any more Love Island readings. But then I got an influx of requests and people asking me about, for instance, Sean, and about the couples. What do I see going forward? Who do I see winning? And my team said, hey, your inbox is ridiculous and we can't go through all of this. We need you to please address it. Maybe do another reading, something, so that we can get to the other questions that you normally get. And so over on Patreon, we are also going to be discussing Mercury retrograde and Jupiter moving into Leo and what I predict, or the advice that I want to give for all 12 zodiac signs. So that will strictly be for my Patreon members. Starting off with the couples, we're going to be starting off with, why do I keep wanting to say Zach and Bryce? That is not a coincidence, is it? But yes, I always, every time I start to get into, because this is not my first time trying to record this episode, I had to stop midway and re-record everything. I'm always stumbling when it gets to this part of it. But yes, we are going to be starting off with Zach and Kata, not Zach and Bryce, but I will be covering them as well throughout, probably toward the end of today's episode. Love whoever you love, Zach. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. If you don't like girls, that's fine. But don't lead people on, okay? Because it's, you're not really fooling most of us. It's not most of us that are grown. You're not fooling us at all. And I also want to say something to those of you who have parasocial relationships. Sending me emails, trying to get me on your side. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. I need you to go build real relationships. I need you to continue your growth. I understand that most of my listeners are at least in their late 20s or at least 25 at the most, so 25 and up. I would say probably the oldest listeners I have, there are a few boomers. It looks like they are the smallest demographic that listens to my show, but it is typically older Gen Z and millennials that listen to this show, and maybe a handful, there's a little bit of Gen X, but with that being said, that means the majority of people here are grown, and we have grown discussions. We talk about this show for entertainment. We do not latch on to anybody. We want to see them do well, especially our favorites. But after the show is done, we will forget about it. And whether you want to hear it or not, we will likely forget a lot about most of the people that are on the show currently. I think there are a few that will do very well. I don't need the tarot to tell me that. In fact, Sean being one of them. I see Sean doing big things. And I definitely don't see Sean being single for long. I really don't. I think that the universe is about to step in for him. Regarding Soul, I definitely think that Soul needs some media training. I absolutely adore her. I like that she comes across as authentic. I think that is something that this show needs. We need more authenticity. And I would like to see big things for her once she's had a little bit of media training. And I don't mean media training that's going to completely change who she is. I would not like to see any of that. So there is a lot of couples that I'm going to cover here. So we're going to start off with Zach and Kata, and then we're going to move right into another Afro-Latina who was supposed to represent us Afro-Latinas in the right way, but it has not. It's been rough. We still want her to make better choices. And I am referring to Melanie and the Afro-Latino Sincere, who has definitely been my least favorite this season. So from there, I'm going to be moving on to Casey and TT. And one thing I don't like, I want to address something as an Afro-Latina. you won't be attacking black women on my platform in any way, shape, or form. That is never going to sit well with me. There is this idea, this concept that Afro-Latinos seem to have an issue with African Americans. I mean, if they do, I don't know any of them. But, of course, I can't speak for an entire community because Latin America is massive. But I can say that that's not an issue over here. And so when I say black women, I'm referring to black people that come from all over the world, because black people do not come from just one part of the world. As I have mentioned many times before, my home is Brazil, but I was raised in Texas. So that's why I sound very American, unfortunately. So I wish I had a Brazilian accent. I do not. I was not raised by the Brazilian half of my family, though. I was raised by the Mexican half of my family, and that's okay. So let's get into this reading. Team, I'm about to let you take over. I'll do the outro from there. And thank you to those of you who are new to my show for listening. I gave you a tiny little glimpse. You can definitely go back and listen to all of my collective readings. There's more collective readings coming this week, actually, for all 12 zodiac signs, that will be available to the general public. That's not just a Patreon preview. There will be more Patreon previews in the future because I realize that you all actually enjoy them. I kind of thought you would hate them, but thank you to my listeners who have been here from the beginning and those of you who are new. If you don't watch Love Island, that's perfectly fine. Like I said, on Patreon, we're also going to be talking about Mercury retrograde, Jupiter moving into Leo, and that actually has already been recorded, and it was supposed to be right here in this slot, but I'm decided to just combine that recording with, actually not even combine it. Patreon members, you're just going to get back-to-back episodes, okay? So what I'm also going to be doing today, after I get through all of the couples, is I'm going to be likely pulling a card or two for my Patreon members, just because I just kind of feel like it. Why not? Why not? You all deserve it. So yes, for $2 a month, you already know you can join us over there. And team, this is where you step in. Thank you so much. Obrigada.
Lua Nova presents Voices of the New Moon. I'm your host, Jupiter, and it's always a pleasure spending a few minutes with fellow new moons. This is a little podcast within the Lua Nova network where I sit down with Josie the Mustang to chat about the magic behind the brand, the community Josie has built, and everything happening beyond the microphone. Today's conversation is all about Patreon, its benefits, and its various tiers. So, without further ado, the creator of Lua Nova, the Ethereal pop alchemist, our favorite witch, Josie the Mustang.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Jupiter.
The pleasure is all mine, Josie. Thanks for making time for me. I mean, us. I know you've got a lot going on, so let's jump right in. Is it true your Patreon starts at just $2 a month? No way. Tell us a little about your membership tiers and what new moons can expect when they join.
Oh my God. But to answer your questions, yes, the Patreon does in fact have a $2 and $5 tier, and the $2 tier and the $5 tier both have access to all of the Lua Nova podcast episodes early and ad-free. So they are not hearing this particular ad at all. There are no ads over there whatsoever. Also, the $2 tier, they get their own chat room. The $5 tier gets their own chat room, plus those in there who want to discuss maybe a pet that they've lost. There is a chat room for people who are discussing pet grief, okay? And the $5 tier does get a lot more access. For instance, they get to ask me personal tarot questions. We discuss what's going on in pop culture via the tarot. And so, yes, they get more access as far as extra episodes, extra content that the $2 tier doesn't have access to. But to me, both are a really good deal. And if I was just getting started, I would choose the $2 tier just so that I could listen ad-free and get all of the episodes early. So I hope that answered all your questions.
Did I make you blush? Good. But your Patreon sounds incredible. I love that there's something for everyone, no matter what tier they choose. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us today, Josie.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Jupiter.
And thank you, New Moons, for listening to another edition of Voices of the New Moon. If you enjoyed this little interview, but would rather skip hearing it in future episodes, Patreon members receive ad-free listening, plus all the exclusive extras Josie just mentioned. Join the official Lua Nova Patreon by going to patreon.com/the Lua Nova Podcast, or download the Patreon app and look up Lua Nova. The link to join Patreon is in the show notes. Until next time, I'm your host Jupiter, and this has been a Lua Nova production. Now, back to your regularly scheduled magic.
Obrigada or valeu, New Moons, for aligning with the frequency of the Lua Nova podcast. If you would like more information on me or the brand, anything of that nature, go to luanovapodcast.net. It's in the show notes. Also, there are brand new episodes of the Lua Nova podcast every single Monday. I do want to address that from now on. I know that I mentioned I would be separating the collective readings, but with as much work as we are putting into both the Patreon and the podcast, it made zero sense to create additional work for my team and for myself. So the collective readings will go back to all being on a Monday. So I know that makes that episode in particular extra long. Also, my team, I never instruct them to put in timestamps. If you want to put in timestamps wherever it is that you listen to the show, I have no problem with you doing that. I appreciate you doing that. Actually, that's nice of you. But my team, I never expect them to do something like that, especially because they're not sure how long each how many ads there will be, because there's the regular ads and then there's the specific Lua Nova ads. So they're not sure when I'm recording how many ads there are going to be, because I don't tell them until the very last moment how many I want submitted. So that's why that's another reason why it wouldn't make sense to tell them, hey, also add in timestamps. But I do cover all 12 zodiac signs whenever I do the collective readings, and that is every other week. And I will talk to you on Monday. I'm sorry, I was going to say next week. Well, it is next week. I'll talk to you on Monday. Have a safe rest of your weekend. Have some Prosecco. Have some sparkling water. Those are my two favorites. And I will... You know what? Is this a holiday weekend that you're hearing this? If it is, and I'm referring to the United States, definitely be safe. Be careful of who you are around and the type of energy that you allow around you. Be careful and watch your words. Watch your energy. Check your energy. Okay? There's a lot going on energetically. All right. Talk to you on Monday. I'm going to hang up now. All right. I'll talk to you soon. Ciao, ciao.